Hey guys, thought I'd let you have a look at yet another 22 which followed me home in the last week or so into the local gun shop, and lo and behold we had this what appears to be a Nylon 66 Remington, but in fact it is not a Nylon 66 Remington. It's the CBC Brazilian copy of the Nylon 66, virtually identical other than the country in which it was manufactured. And these are the original plastic rifle, the original polymer rifle. Everybody who is a fan of plastics doesn't like to use the word plastic, so they call it polymer. But anyway, these are substantially constructed from polymer or plastic. The entire stock runs completely underneath this cover all the way to the front, and that is all plastic. And it's interesting, the name of the Remington product, Nylon 66, would lead you to believe that the rifle was manufactured using nylon, but in fact it was manufactured using Zytel, and the Nylon 66 was merely the color of the plastic mix that they used. So a little bit of trivia for you there. This particular version, being Brazilian, is probably not made with Zytel. There's a company in Brazil which apparently developed a plastic which acted as a substitute for the original DuPont product, although the original production runs of these rifles were made using DuPont materials to do the production, but later on the Brazilians manufactured their own plastic to make these. From what I understand, the Brazilian company purchased the tooling to make these rifles from Remington in the early 1960s, about 1964. So you'll hear rumors about the Brazilian rifles being made up with old Remington tooling. That is not the case. From what I understand, it was manufactured using new tooling, and over 200,000 of these rifles were manufactured by the Brazilian company. So, as I said, substantially a plastic construction. The trigger guard is plastic. This is just a sheet metal cover which keeps everything from falling out of the gun, basically. Unfortunately, the head of the screw is broken on this side, and there's a few little flecks of rust on it, but reasonably good condition otherwise. I'll have a flip it over here, and it looks pretty much the same on the other side as well. We've got the all black plastic stock with a white diamond insert and a little bit of a nose cap. Got the very 1950s, 60s looking swoopy blade foresight, and the plastic stock goes actually all the way over the top of the barrel, which is kind of an interesting feature. You see how the barrel is actually right inside the stock, and we can see the markings on there, CBC, which is I guess basically translates as the Brazilian Cartridge Company. And we got the caliber marking, 22 long rifle, and the rear sight, which is both windage and elevation adjustable. Made in Brazil by the Companhia Brasileira de Cartuchos, which I probably just butchered that all up, but to those of you from Brazil who might be watching, my apologies. We have got a dovetailed scope mount which has been pressed into the top cover. You can use a standard 22 type scope with that. And you can see these bosses which have been probably soldered or spot welded onto the sheet metal cover, and they engage the screws from the other side. We've got a tang type safety, and checkering of course cast into the stock. A little bit of a grip cap glued on there with a white line spacer. Once again, kind of a 1960s looking touch. And the same thing at the back, white line spacer on top of the butt plate. You can see there's a seam that runs down the rifle, and basically this stock or receiver was made in a left and a right half, and they were, I believe they were vibratory welded together At any rate, they started off as 2 injection molded pieces which were fused together using some process, and rather than trying to hide the seam, they just made a groove there to kind of dress it up a little bit. And to show you how far they went with plastics, even the safety catch, which is on the tang, is a plastic piece as well. So they really tried to use plastic as much as possible in these rifles. Another use of plastic, the cock and handle is actually plastic as well. And you can see the rear sights here. This screw here adjusts for windage, and this one adjusts for elevation. And these are actually a pretty good set of sights. They are quite easily adjustable, and the sight picture is quite good, and I found them to be capable of pretty good accuracy, considering that this is was a very low-cost firearm in its day. And flipping the rifle over to the bottom, you can once again see that seam where they fuse the 2 parts together. Got the grip cap, the trigger guard unit here, also plastic. Now, the guts of this rifle are running on the plastic frame, so all the reciprocating parts inside here are moving back and forth on the nylon, and essentially the cover just keeps everything in place, and it gave them a place to stamp the serial number. But these are quite a reliable .22 rifle. They will shoot with virtually no maintenance for extreme periods of time. They really require virtually no maintenance as far as lubrication. Because the parts move back and forth on the plastic, it's quite naturally slippery. So they're also extremely lightweight, and they have a surprisingly good trigger pull, all considered. I remember being a kid seeing these for sale at the local Kmart for, I don't know, I think they were about $80 at the time, brand new. So anyway, I had the chance to buy one of these, and I don't know, kind of appealed to the nostalgic side of me, even though it is plastic. A bit of a not so well done white diamond in the front there. And we've also got the serial number again on the underside of the barrel. Interesting touch. And the front sight is basically a big die casting held on by 2 screws. Anyway, guess it's time to load this thing up and shoot it. Like a Nylon 66, the Brazilian Nylon 66 copy loads through the butt. And we'll have a close-up look at the butt there. You can see the CBC logo, and also some more information on the company right there. So basically, just want to turn this knob about 1/8 of a turn counterclockwise and just pull the magazine tube right out of the butt. Okay, with the magazine tube removed, you can see the loading port there at the center of this depression, and it's just a simple matter of dropping the .22 long rifle cartridges in without dropping them all over the ground, apparently. And as I said, capacity of this is 14 shots, and once you're finished loading the tube up, it's always hard to do this stuff around a camera tripod. You simply reinsert the magazine tube follower in, and you'll see on the follower there's a little pin here or tab, and you want that pointing at about the 5 o'clock position when you insert it in, and then when it's shoved all the way in, it should go into the little slot at the bottom, and you can give it about 1/8 of a turn clockwise and it'll lock in place. And with that locked in place, you can then charge the rifle by pulling back the cock and handle. You can see a cartridge has come up to be fed, and we're ready to go. And of course the safety catch has been applied earlier, and we can disengage that and away we go. Alright, let's try a 10-shot group with the CCI Blazer at 50 yards. 10 it is. Pretty good trigger on that, fairly crisp. Let's go see what we did. And there's a 10-shot group, 50 yards with CCI Blazer in the Brazilian-made Nylon 66 copy. And we've got 9 of the shots in about inch and a quarter, and I pulled one way off there, but I had a couple of groups the other day that were slightly smaller than that for 10 shots, so probably just not getting them away as good. This is kind of a big aiming point to be using for short range, like 50 yards, so I should probably get a different aiming point. All right, there's 10 rounds of Winchester Dynapoint from 50 yards. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So not too bad. A little bit of horizontal dispersion there, probably because of the rather blocky sights. Be interesting to see what the rifle would do when it had a scope on it. I think I could probably shrink that down by, you know, take a third off that or a half off that probably with scope sight or maybe peep sights. Okay, there's a 10-shot group with the Winchester 333 bulk pack. Once again at 50 yards out of the Brazilian Nylon 66 copy. Okay, another 50-yard group, 10 shots. In this case it's with the Remington Yellow Jackets, and not a great group with the Yellow Jackets, and also had a couple of failure to feeds with those, so I guess the rifle doesn't care much for that shape of bullet. That's the first time it hasn't fed a cartridge properly, so, and that's after, oh, I'd say about 400 shots. That was the first time I've come across a cartridge that it didn't like, so. But that's no big deal. I got lots of other ammo, so get this patched up and try another group. And there's the final group of the day. Once again, 10 shots, 50 yards, and that's with the Federal American Eagle 40 grain round nose. Not a super group, but there you go.